Hello everyone and welcome to the first part of my Ultimate Factorio Guide series. In today's video we're going to be going over the first hour of the Factorio experience. So let's just get right into it. We're just going to be creating a world with completely default settings. And we're going to be showing you, well, everything you need to know, for the most part, about the early game. So you just want to click the M key to open up the mini-map. So what you're looking for here is the coal patch. Right here we have the 389,000 coal patch. Right here we have the 363,000 copper ore patch. You don't really need to worry about this that much in the early game. We also have the stone patch. You basically don't even need to worry about this apart from making furnaces. And here we have the most important thing, which is the iron ore patch. So yes, what we're going to want to do first is make our way over to the iron ore patch and get some iron going. But before that, you're going to need to click Alt on your keyboard, which will allow you to see what's inside of buildings. But you can also do, when you see this, instead of going in and clicking out of it like that, because that's kind of slow, what you can actually do is just click Control, just hold Control, and then left click, and you'll be able to pick it up instantly. So that is just a way faster way of doing it. And now we're going to be making our way to the iron ore patch. And as we're walking, we're already gonna start, working on some stuff. We already want to craft a burner inserter and a transport belt. So here, what we have is, well, the iron patch. And as you can see, right now we have nothing. We have no resources. So what we want to do is look for these huge rocks that have stone and coal inside of them, which eliminates 2 of our basic needs in one. So this is like the most useful thing to do at the start. It will speed you up 10 times. So just do that. Just want to look around for some more huge rocks. I typically go for like 3 to 4 huge rocks at the very start of the game. That is usually enough. Sometimes you need a little bit more depending on your spawn location and depending on how you actually build your factory. So we're just going to go back up here because there's 2 more of these, and that should be enough for us. Mining these is quite slow, but it is also incredibly efficient when you factor in the fact that you get up to 50 coal. So it is very useful to do this. And now I'm going to be showing you another thing that most beginners won't do, which is you just go over to your inventory with the E key, and you're going to go over to coal and put it here, and that's basically it for now. You just put it there, which basically means if you click 1 on your keyboard, you'll see it selected. That's going to be really good because we are going to be hand feeding a lot of our machinery for the start of the game. So what you want to do now is click 1 and then hold C while hovering over the machines. But a more efficient way is obviously just dragging over both, so you're clearing up both and you're spending your coal 2 times faster. So there we go. We are now making iron plates. Iron plates are one of the most important basic resources in the game. What we're going to want right now is 4 burner mining drills. So we're going to need a decent amount of iron. Now, 1 mining drill doesn't fully satisfy the needs of a furnace. So we're just going to be getting some iron ore to boost it up a little bit. There we go. So now we're going to be making our first burner mining drill. And what we're going to want to do with these is we're going to want to put them on the coal patch in a very specific formation. And so that we can actually start saving up some coal so we don't have to go get even more huge rocks. There we go. We are now making our second burner mining drill. And as you can see, our buffer is already starting to run out slowly. So that is why we actually make the buffer, because otherwise we would be completely out. I'm just going to completely mine down this patch because it only had 5. There we go. And there we go. So now we only need 1 more to get another one. There we go. And now we are on our final mining drill. So now we just wait. We just wait for a little bit more iron. We can make a few more stone furnaces, so we don't have to do that later, because we're going to need a lot of these in the early game. So now we're just going to wait until we can actually craft the final mining drill, and then we're going to actually, start the game. There we go. So as you can see, it's already nighttime, and sometimes you might have these unlucky spawns where, like, the rocket is on top of a patch, but this can be solved very simply. You just hold right click, and you'll start mining the actual rocket. There we go, and now it's gone. At this point, you might as well just clean up everything. Just keep it clean. Gotta have your space nice and organized so it doesn't get in the way of your actual factory once you get to that stage of your development. So there we go. We're just taking care of everything that is around. And now it's clean. So as you can see, now we have steam power researched, because we have crafted 50 iron plates. So now we can actually make steam power. As you can see, we have new things. But first, before we can even think about steam power, we need to create infinite coal. So what you want to do, because I didn't really explain it, I did it on reflex. What you're going to do is you're going to click Q, which is also another really important thing. If you have something on the ground that you want to make a lot more of, you just do Q, and then you will have another copy of it if you have it in your inventory. Now you're going to click the R key one time. You're going to click R once. Now you're going to go down here. You're going to click R again and place it down. You're going to click R again and place it down, so that all of these arrows go into all of the drills. And now all you need to do is just put a little bit of coal in the system. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place down a drill there and place down a furnace just to, take the coal. So now, what we can actually do, now that we have an actual source of coal, is we can do a lot more, furnaces. We can actually support a lot more furnaces. So let's go back to this iron patch. We have, 79 coal right now. So we can get away with a lot. 42. So, what we're going to do is just make 4 mining drills and another 4 furnaces. We are really going to focus on getting a decent amount of production going immediately. So we're just going to want to start in the middle, where you have the highest amount of iron per patch. As you can see, the expected resources are 5,000, because the mining drills have a really small mining area, which is just 2 by 2. The electric drills will solve this problem for us. So what we're going to do now is just fuel all of these up, so we can get, 4 times the iron. There we go. We're just going to spend all our coal here, because we don't really need anything else yet. But we are going to start worrying about getting a little bit of copper for the electric poles. This is also the perfect time for you to start chopping down some trees, as you will need these for power poles. You'll need a lot of power poles, especially in this case where the water is quite far away. Now, if this is the first time you're playing, you won't have this enabled. Enable this. This will allow you to see your pollution cloud. And as you can see, right down here, we have an enemy. Once our pollution gets close to the enemy, we can start expecting attacks from the enemy, and it's going to try and destroy our production. So we're going to need to defend our factory. So you need to keep that in mind. This spawn is quite lucky. We have a decent amount of trees, so, it's not the worst spawn. If you spawn in a desert the first time you play Factorio, that is a bit unfortunate, as it is like the hardest place to play Factorio, even on normal settings. So you are just going to have to, try a bit harder, do everything a bit faster, and you're going to want to prioritize actual firepower over what I'm doing here. So as you can see, I'm just making these 3 things because we're going to need that for electricity. I'm also going to make 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We always want to keep a little bit of a buffer of furnaces in the early game. Specifically in the early game. It doesn't matter at all late game. So here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do control and control. There we go. So we just took, well, all of the coal out of these. But because they are still going, they are still going to be able to produce their coal. And we're going to be fine. They're just going to feed each other up. So now we have 176 coal. So we can just go back up to the copper patch. Copper patch that we haven't actually visited yet. So let's just go over here. As you can see, there's a tree on the patch, but that's fine. We can just chop that down. Now, maneuvering through the tree is going to be somewhat tricky, but you get a feel for it eventually. You can also just like chop down a path if that's easier, although it will be more time consuming in the long run. And there we go. So now, I'm just gonna place these in the middle again. Place down the furnaces in the middle again. Now I'm gonna click 1 and hold C to get our copper going. So now we are also going to be producing pollution up here as well. And there we go. That should be way more than enough. So we just get that. We already have basically everything we need. We have electronics research now as well, automatically. And now we can start researching other stuff. Well, not yet. As you can see, we have this lab icon. Item lab. So if we go over here, you can see the lab. So we need 15 copper for a lab. Let's just get 15 copper. There we go. And now we're going to click on this right here. And you can see we have small electric poles. So this is 6 electric poles, which is going to allow us to actually connect it. Now, when you have a bunch of stuff that you want to craft, like for example, I wanted to craft 5 chests here. Clicking it 5 times is a bit inefficient. So what you can actually do is just right click to make 5, and you can shift click to make all of them. And you can also just do the same down here to stop the production of it. So you stop the crafting before it actually starts. You can queue up these chains for an infinite amount of time. You can have items crafting for days if you wanted to. Although that isn't very efficient. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get some more coal. We're going to craft a chest. And we're going to craft this inserter, which is the, regular inserter, which actually takes electricity. So now we're going to go up to the coal patch. We're going to get some more coal. There we go. And now we should have everything we need to actually start our electronic age. So in the early game, it doesn't really matter. You just create a very basic electricity. Like right here. And we place our inserter. We make sure it's inside of the blue area. And now we place the chest right down here. We give it most of the coal, but not all of it, since we do still need to activate this for the first time. There we go. And now we will have electricity for a long time. Now, you just click while it's on top of this electrical pole, and you can just drag it up, and Factorio will automatically place them out at the maximum space, so you save as much resources as possible. So now we're going to also connect this to the iron patch, as those will be the first patches that I'm going to be electrifying, which is the coal and the iron. And as you can see, we had just enough to actually get to the iron patch. I'm just going to place these around for now. And we collect all of these resources. And now we're just going to go over here. Three, two, one. So as you can see, right now, we have almost everything we need. So now we have this lab that we need to take care of. We're going to go to the copper patch and we're going to get some materials. And then I'm going to be showing you what you can do with the labs. So the labs need electricity to function, so we're going to be placing it near an electrical pole. Let me just collect that. There we go. And if we go to this intermediate products tab, you will see automation science packs. I can make 93 of them right now. So if we click T, we'll enter the technology menu. And right here, we have the electric mining drill recipe, which only takes 25 of these packs. So just click on it and click Start Research. Now we're going to go over here, take the lab and pop that down over here. And now we're going to just right click a few times to start crafting automation science packs. So now we're just waiting. Also, if you have a product here, for example, like the automation science pack, you'll see the iron gear wheel is yellow. You might notice it's not actually in my inventory. Well, that's because Factorio just automatically crafts it for you using your resources. It just makes you craft a little bit slower since you didn't have that. So it just takes another half a second per one of these. And as you can see, we make quite a few of them over the course of this crafting tree. So now I'm just going to get this in here so we can start researching already. And that is going to allow us to basically start up our game. You know, everything that we're doing right now isn't really automated because we have to rely on coal, we have to rely on, we have to rely on a bunch of factors. But this is going to remove the coal factor from most of our production, which is going to allow us to actually begin fully automating things. The next research we're going to do is going to be right here, automation. So we just click into research. So we're going to be doing that afterwards, and after that, we take logistics. So this is quite a quick one. We're just going to put this in here, and we're going to walk away for now and just start setting up everything else. Right now, we will no longer need these mining drills, so we're going to be taking all of them down. There we go. We need the space to be clean so we can actually, do everything we need to do. We're also going to start crafting a bunch of transport belts. You will see why in a second. I'll also take one pipe to ground and a few regular pipes because I don't really like how our power is positioned. It's not really very modular. So there we go. Now, another thing that you're going to start running into pretty soon, not at this exact moment, you need to be prepared for it. You just go over to a power pole and you click it, and you're going to be able to see your electrical network info. And right here we see the production of our electricity. Right here we have the maximum amount of electricity we can currently produce. And here we have the amount of electricity that is needed for the network to run at maximum efficiency. If this gets a little bit below that, you get a massive penalty to the crafting speed and the just general efficiency of all of your machines. So it is quite problematic if that happens, and you're just going to need to completely You're going to need to tackle that as soon as that arises, otherwise you could run into a ton of issues. And if we click this 5 seconds button, for example, we can see graphs of our electrical usage. You can see when the actual coal is being put into the inserter and being used to give our electricity more things. As you can see, here we've used 1 piece of coal. In this case, it's more like 4. Here we've used 1, here we've used 1, here we've used 1. So we're going to need to replenish our coal pretty soon. There we go. let's just go down and replenish our coal since we will finish the electric mining drill research. There we go. And now since we're crafting our transport belts, we can start working on the first really important step of the Factorio run, which is connecting your coal production directly to your electricity. Now, this isn't really the best way to do it. So now, what we're going to do is we're just going to reroute this a little bit. What we need to keep in mind is that we'll have a chest here, we will have an inserter here, and we'll have the boiler right here. So that's how our network is going to function. So with that in mind, we need to put our actual belt right here so we can have the inserter that leads it into the chest that leads it into here, which gives us a buffer. There we go. And now we have our productions actually, merged. There we go. This is our first fully automated part of the base. Now it's time to automate some other stuff. And since we now have the electric mining drills, which take a crazy amount of resources in comparison, as you can see, 23 compared to 9, it is quite expensive. So the first thing we're going to do is very simple, very, very simple. Also, they are 2 times faster, which allows these to actually work with furnaces. So if I just put a furnace right here, it will mine directly into the furnace. The furnace just needs coal. So there we go. There we go. As you can see, we are actually making a backlog. One furnace is now not powerful enough to keep up with the mining drill, as the mining drill is insanely fast. And as you can see, its mining area is also 5x5 instead of 2x2, which is a massive upgrade once again. So now if we click on our electrical network again, you can see right when we started actually using a lot more power, which is right here. Right here we basically more than doubled our electrical usage. And now it's slowly going back down. It's a bit varied. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to replace every single one of our... What we're going to be doing is we're just going to be replacing every single one of our... what? Which one? What we're going to be doing is we're going to be replacing every single one of our actual drills with electrical drills. So we're going to need to wait for some resources. So now that we have the second electrical mining drill, we're going to actually finish the automation of the coal just by placing a mining drill right here. So let's just do that real quick. I'm going to put this at the edge of the field. It will be one of the first ones to run out, but it's 14,000 coal. We should be good for a while. There we go. Now, if you click on the map, you can see your pollution, as I explained before. We're not approaching the enemies quite yet. We should be fine. You can get attacked a little bit before you actually reach it. So, you might want to watch out. Now, there's another thing that you can do, which is the tags. What you can do with this, for example, coal production 1. Confirm. There we go. You can also click on it and change the icon. You just click on this one and you click coal and confirm. So here we have coal production 1, which allows you to memorize what parts of your base are developed and undeveloped. This is a really useful thing later on, so you don't have to keep everything just in your brain, as it does get quite complicated. Now we're going to go back to our copper patch, as we're going to start running out of copper in a little bit. And we're going to automate one like copper drill, which will allow us to start actually working on stuff. So now the last thing we have that we need to do, last thing we need to take care of, is extremely simple. We need to finish basic automation. We need to like do some basic automation. We need to do some basic smelting at scale, as we're currently not really doing that. As you can see, boom, the networks are now connected, and if I click on it again, we're using a lot more power once again. So eventually we are going to run into electricity problems, but not quite yet. So now we're gonna go back up here, and we're gonna get our next electric mining drill, and we're going to be placing it on the iron patch. The iron patch is the most important one, so we need to take advantage of the iron patch. There we go. I'm just gonna place it right next to it. It doesn't really matter if it's a really low output, it's fine. So now we have 2 electrical mining drills. We're going to need a lot more of these. A lot more. This is about the point where you can just preemptively make the next boiler and the next steam engine, as you are going to be using it quite soon. Because if you hover over it, you can see the max consumption is 90 kilowatts, and we're only producing 900. So if the only thing we were doing was electrical mining drills, we could only support 10. And trust me, we are going to have a lot more than 10 electrical mining drills. So let's go and make some 3 to 1. Let's go and make some steam engines so we can actually support a lot more production. We're also going to have to restructure this a tiny bit, as this will no longer work for us. There we go. We're going to create another wood chest right here, and 2 of these. There we go. Now we're gonna place an electrical power pole right here, and right here, and right here. There we go. So now we just need to wait for a piece of coal to reach us. And as you can see, while we were fixing up our power, the coal wasn't reaching us. So now, if we just click on an electrical power pole, we can see it's still 900 kilowatts, but in a second you will see our power jump. There we go. It is now doubled to 1.8 megawatts. And so now we're able to support a lot more of these electrical mining drills. So now we should be fine for the early game at least. We're going to be able to get some basic stuff on belts. We're going to be able to get a basic main bus going. And as you can see, we're just speeding up in general. We're getting closer and closer to doing all the stuff that we need to do. We also need to make a crazy amount of iron plates and transport belts. So what we're going to do before we actually do our full automation is we're going to be using the assembly machine, which is what we researched before when we researched the automation in the background. We're just going to be making one of these, and it is going to be an insanely useful resource. All we need to do is just put it down right here. Now we need some more iron. There we go. And all we need to do is just place it like this. Get an electrical pole right here. There we go. And we just go over here and we select the iron gear wheel. There we go. And now we're making iron gears. Now this isn't actually what we need. What we need is quite simple. We need to take another one, place it like this, and we need to get another assembling machine 1. Why is it called assembling machine 1? Well, it's because there's multiple levels, there's multiple tiers that you can unlock which are better. right now, we just place it right down here. And is there an overlap here? That's the most important part of this. You need to make sure there's an overlap. For the early game, yep. And you just click on the transport belt and you give it power, and boom, we are now automatically creating transport belts. So we won't have to craft them in our inventory, and we won't have to use time doing that. So we just make another chest. And now I'm going to show you about chest limiting. What you can do is place down a chest right here, and you can limit part of the inventory so it cannot be filled by machines. So like this, you will only get up to 300 transport belts. The stack sizes differ depending on what item it is, but most of the time it's just 100. So now we just have our transport belt production going at a reasonable speed. I'll just put a little bit of a buffer for iron gear wheels. Those are really quick to craft, and one mining drill with one furnace just can't keep up. It's impossible. So now that we have this, we're going to want to use our 2 mining drills again. And we're just going to place them down. We're just going to make the whole setup again. But this time we're not going to add the extra stuff, because we do still need some coal and some iron for ourselves. So now we're just going to create more electrical poles, as we don't have enough at the moment. There we go. So now we have our iron production going again, so we can make more mining drills and make more production. That's kind of the heart of Factorio, just making more production to make more production. So now, as you can see, our production has increased, and we can start making a lot more mining drills. So now, the next step is to just click on the transport belt and put it right here. We no longer really care about the coal, since we will no longer be using it, so you can just middle click with your mouse to remove it. And we're just going to also take this. We're also going to want to just middle click on this, click on this, and click on this, and now we also have a shortcut for the inserters. Because we don't have any inserters, we can't really use the shortcut yet, but it is a thing that it's just good to have. It's just good to have. I'm going to place a bit more on the iron patches. The iron patch is once again the most important patch in early game, and I don't believe it really gets replaced ever, as the iron patch is just like the most basic resource that gets used for basically everything. You can also just do the Minecraft thing, which is you just right click and take half of a stack. So that is something that also works in Factorio, in case you were wondering. And now if we go back up here, the transport belts. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a big transport belt that is off the actual iron ore patch, as we're going to make a central part of our base that produces most of our actual products. There we go. That is far enough, and that is also big enough. So now we're just gonna take it all the way over here, and we're going to be doing our refining right here. We're gonna have to take down some rocks, but we're going to be able to do our refining right here. You want to centralize as much as possible, so it's easier to defend from the attacks of biters and spitters in the later game. And you just also want everything to be nearby, so if you need a resource, for example, like iron gear wheels, like 150 something iron gear wheels, you just need them on the spot. You want to be able to get them, and if you also need, for some reason, 100 copper ore, you don't want to run around the entire base. You want to be able to just collect all of it in one spot. So that's why you want to centralize everything. So yep, there we go. we have now freed up this plot. I'm also going to take down this one because it's just massive, you know, it's a massive rock. We need to get rid of it. It's just going to make it harder to work with it. And there we go. We now have our first real belt ready to go. So what we're going to do now is the final part of basic automation. We're going to craft a ton of furnaces. There we go. We're going to craft a ton of inserters. We're going to go to our belts and make another belt. And we're going to make a belt from the coal patch that is going to go right up here. I'm going to be placing my mining drills down on the coal patch in this formation, so we can fit a decent amount of drills in a small spot, which leaves just enough room for us to have a belt going through. And we're going to connect it to the iron belt. Now you're going to want to have two separate belts later on, but at the start it doesn't really matter. It's really not that big of a deal to have them connected. We also are going to add the final electrical pole so this one can actually work. There we go. Now we can finally take down our starter coal production. There we go. We're going to keep this one mining drill producing the coal that we need for the rest of it. And we're going to go put in limits. Otherwise, the belt will never actually be able to save up resources once we have more stuff. So we're just going to limit these to 5 stacks or whatever they had. So that's good enough. The lab, we're also going to take it down from here, and we're going to have our labs in a centralized spot. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back here and finish our iron production. As you can see, we're already running into some slight issues in regards to the iron. So we're just going to take down our furnaces. We're going to collect our mining drills, destroy these poles. We're going to go up here, collect all of these. We're going to collect the 60 iron that's in here, and we're going to take down this as well. There we go. And now we can start working on iron. So right now we'll be able to have 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There we go. We're just going to take our transport belt, move it right here. And now I just connect these back to the grid. There we go. We just need to connect these to these. So we just place that right here. And now if we look at our power, we're using basically the most power we've ever used. So now we have iron going. We already have coal here. Now all we need is to make a few more electrical poles. You'll be doing this a lot. And we will have finished our first actual resource chain. So what we're going to do here is just create this inserter array that's going to be able to take everything out. And now I'm going to show you another cool thing about Factorio. The game itself, at its core, is a game about automation. So, if you remember from before, when we were able to just drag them out at maximum space, drag out these electrical poles at maximum spacing, here, if we just place it down, it's going to make sure it just powers everything. If we do the same thing next to things that require electricity. So now we just connect this array to the grid. There we go. We are now producing iron ore at a much faster speed. So there we go. We have our iron. So now what we need to do is we need to focus on getting copper. We need copper now. We have finally reached the point in the game where we actually do require some copper. I'm also going to put another drill onto our coal, so we just have enough, as this is going to be a bit of a weird design. I'm going to be taking down some of the trees so we can fit more buildings here. And if we look at our pollution in the map, you'll see our pollution is still not reaching the enemies, but it is going to be accelerating now that we have a lot more production going on. So you do need to watch out for that as well. And I'm just going to go down and place the final electrical drill. There we go. And we now have all the electrical drills we need. You can also start taking them out of here, as most of these are unable to work while the belt is full. And now we can look at our research recipe. So here we need iron gear wheels. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the 2 assembling machines we had from before and turn them into iron gear wheels. You can do shift plus right click and then left click any of the same building, and it's going to just copy the recipe. It's just a little trick to speed you up a little bit. And now what we can do is set up copper. So we're just going to go over here, and we're going to have a decent amount of copper in here. Yep, it's full. Now we're just going to pick up everything from the copper patch, destroy the electrical poles that are on the copper patch, and we're just going to do 6 again. We're just doing like some very basic, very starter development right now. There we go. Now we're going to go back to the iron patch to get a little bit more iron, as we do need to make some actual transport belts. We did not have enough. Usually you want to have enough beforehand, but it's not really that big of a deal, as we have already prepared everything else. So now we're also going to free up the road in front of this so we don't have a belt that just doesn't place because of a tree being in the way. There we go. And we've basically gotten to the point where we can finally do it. We're also going to just place down a laboratory right here. That's where I'm going to go for my laboratories. So what we can do in this case, because we have a very weird setup, this isn't really the optimal setup, but when you're starting out in Factorio, you don't need the optimal setup. You just need a setup that works and a setup that you know how to operate. And this is a very, very simple setup. So what we're going to do is we're just going to place this here. Now the issue we can run into right now is once we have the inserter here, it can actually take some iron instead of copper, which is highly problematic. It is highly problematic in the long run. So we're going to have to fix that. But for now, we are fine to just do this. Now I'm going to go back to the copper patch and get our copper. The reason why we're fine with this right now is because we don't have the logistics research, which allows us to get filtered splitters, which would completely solve this issue. So we're just going to run to that research, and we're gonna, get everything solved. And there we go. We've connected it again. And as you can see, we're almost using all of our power now. So we almost need to upgrade our power. We do have 19 mining drills. So that is to be expected. We're using a crazy amount of power compared to what we were using earlier on. So I'm just going to take this and put some of these in here. So we just filter it out. And here you might be complaining about the fact that we don't actually have any space. We don't actually have any way to really get our copper plates off of the belt. Well, we do. We have this long-handed inserter, which will allow us to place the things on a belt that is right here. So we will have enough space. Once again, I'll be chopping down a few trees. And now we just need to wait for all the crafting to finish. It's going to take a little bit, as I do have a good amount of crafting going on right now. So that's fine. And there we go. So now we have 5 inserters, so we can actually do some stuff. Let's go. And that is our setup. We just add the electricity. And there we go. So now what we're going to do is the final bit of what is called dirty automation. Because it's not really automation. What we're going to do is we're just going to have a chest right here that's going to be full of copper plates. All we need to do is finish the research right now, so we can actually make our copper production properly. So we don't want to make this too big, as this is completely temporary and this will have to be rebuilt. No matter what, this is going to have to be rebuilt. So we just wait for some more of these. Meanwhile, we're going to expand this further. Yeah, 2 of them are going to be enough, for now at least. There we go. So now, right here is where we're gonna have our thing. So we're gonna want to get our copper plates onto this belt. It's at this point into the beginner's guide where you get into the stuff that doesn't really apply to everyone, because it all depends on how you build at the very start. It all depends on what choices you made. So now it's all about problem solving. As this is your first time playing Factorio, you're gonna have some problems to solve. You're gonna have some things that you're gonna need to figure out. So right now, I'm just gonna connect everything to power and get everything going here. And we're going to have everything we need for the science packs. There we go. And now we just need to connect this to actual power, and boom. Now, so we don't need these here, we need these. There we go. And that is our setup. We've now actually gotten to the point where we're making science. So now we can place down our laboratory right up here. And we just connect it to the grid. We just connected to this, we connected to the grid. And we're now making science again. It took a while, but we're actually producing science. And we're using almost all of our power. But now that we've gotten to the point where we have basically automated science, we have finished everything we need to do in the first hour. We just need to take it a bit slow. You just need to figure everything out, figure out how you want to build it, figure out what you want to do, and how to do it. It really becomes a game of problem solving later down the line. So here all we have is everything we need, and we will be able to progress further from this. This is the first episode, and this is basically where it ends for today. This is what you should have at least, probably better. You should strive to be a bit faster than this, but this is what you should have in your first hour, or more accurately 40 minutes of Factorio gameplay. So yeah, if you want to see more videos just like this one, don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on notifications, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!